Hey folks, Hammeh here with a bit of interesting lore news and speculation, as well as a roundup of several cool bits of Overwatch news from the last few days. Today we'll be speculating on whether a little lore tidbit means that Reyes could have been Reaper for longer than we might imagine, when the end of competitive Season 3 might be coming, cool new Overwatch merchandise being announced, and Blizzard taking action to help our Korean brothers and sisters against cheaters. Bit of a new video format, do let me know your thoughts afterwards in the comments, and time codes are in the description below if you want to skip to a particular item. Okay, let's go. Firstly, the lore news. In a tweet that snuck under the radar of a few people over the last few weeks, lead writer on Overwatch Michael Chu made an interesting comment on everyone's favourite homicidal maniac, Reaper. That's Anna's description of him, not mine. When asked a question on Reaper's bio and whether Reyes has been Reaper since before Overwatch fell, Chu responded that, "I'll let you draw your own conclusions, but the wording on Reaper's bio is intentional." That gives us some interesting questions to ask about the history of Reaper and Gabriel Reyes, and indeed perhaps whether the two have always been the same or not, and how long that Reaper has been active for. So, what's being referred to in the bio? This piece of information has always been a subject of debate amongst people who like Overwatch lore. The Reaper is an extremely volatile mercenary, a ruthless and remorseless killer responsible for terrorist attacks around the world. He has fought in many armed conflicts in the last decades, showing no loyalty to any cause or organisation. Now, obviously the key bit there is decades. Given that Overwatch was disbanded 5 to 6 years ago from the present day in the timeline, how has a figure of Reaper been fighting in conflicts for decades? A lot of people headcanon at the moment that Reyes became Reaper in the Swiss headquarters incident, in which Morrison and Reyes apparently, according to Olympia Shaw of Atlas News, are presumed to have fought, destroying the place by accident and pretty much putting the nail in the coffin of a beleaguered, scandal-racked Overwatch as a result. Now, it's worth emphasising we have no proof or knowledge as to how Reyes became Reaper, with his wraith-like abilities, and anything from this point on is heavy speculation on my part. Clearly, at some point, something pretty bad happened to Gabriel Reyes, turning him into whatever he is. And the bio, of course, states that the few bodies recovered of those he kills are pale, empty husks drained of life, their cells showing signs of intense degradation. It is possible that he is a byproduct of failed genetic alteration, which forces his cells to simultaneously decay and regenerate at a hyper-accelerated rate. The questions this little tweet raises: if Reaper's wording of his bio is intentional, and we decide to take it as fact that he's fought in many armed conflicts over decades, then presumably this means that Reaper would have to have been active since before Overwatch fell. And of course, this is all speculation from this point. I'll try to add in any factual grounding for my speculation where it exists. So, question number 1. When did Reaper become Reaper? If he's fought and been recognised as Reaper for decades, it depends of course on the perspective of the person telling the bio story, it could mean a few things. Now, some people have liked to speculate that this could be explained by more than one Reaper existing, kind of a generational thing like Doomfist for example. Reyes has picked up the Reaper mask somehow, or taken on the Reaper mantle. I don't know how that would work. His abilities sound very much like something that's gone wrong from the description in his bio, very unique. I'm not sure how someone would pass on the shadowy abilities, or Reaper actually sees this as a curse in his words, so it doesn't sound as though it's something he's wanted to take on, or perhaps even had a choice in. Remember, of course, Overwatch is also a near-future world with a focus on science. It would have to be some pretty Green Goblin style stuff or otherwise going on for Reaper to have had this inflicted on him, but I'm sure you comic book fans can give me some better ideas. I'd be more inclined to go with another question or theory. Maybe Reyes became Reaper before the Swiss headquarters incident, and that raises even more questions. How did this happen? Did Overwatch know about it? Did they even try to help him if they did, or not? The Old Soldiers comic may give us some context if not direct clues. Given Anna's surprised reaction here when she sees Gabriel's face, she didn't know about Reaper's transformation, and if Old Soldiers is anything to go by, this was a big surprise to her. Now remember of course that Anna disappeared off the radar, presumed dead, towards the very end of Overwatch's history. She served late into her 50s. Remember that Reinhardt was retired in his late 50s mandatorily for being too old. Reaper has been stated to be a pretty unreliable narrator. He's bent on revenge, murdering ex-Overwatch agents, working as a terrorist and similar. So perhaps he's not in the most balanced state of mind. We can't take everything he says as fact. But he does say to Anna, "He did this to me, they left me to suffer." And I do feel that that's interesting context. So how did Reaper become Reaper? We know nothing about the method, but we can perhaps guess at the circumstances. In Overwatch's later history, the organisation was under siege from within and without. At some point in its final years, Blackwatch, the top secret division that Reyes led, was unveiled. We know that some of Overwatch's most famous agents had to retire in disgrace. We know that missions went wrong, like the scientist rescue operation we see in Legacy, where agents died to Talon and Anna stayed behind. No evidence, of course, but if we take some of these pieces as the edges of a jigsaw, the mess, the chaos that Overwatch was in towards the end of its existence, we can think of our own picture based off them, whether it's right or wrong. Perhaps there was a mission that that went wrong, in which Reyes was left behind in some circumstances, like Anna in her Legacy comic. As Morrison presumably left without Anna in Legacy, we don't know whether they returned to search for her, of course, so maybe a mission left Reyes in a similar situation, one that had catastrophic consequences and perhaps led to Blackwatch being revealed. Reyes could have been captured, maybe experimented on perhaps by an outside party. Now, Talon as an organisation do have a form of doing this in brainwashing Widowmaker. Perhaps Reyes then returned to confront Morrison in some fashion, and that's what happened at the Swiss headquarters. We don't know that Reyes was actually a part of Overwatch when the Swiss headquarters fell. On the other side of the coin, if you don't think Reaper's state was caused by an outside party or event other than Overwatch, or Overwatch didn't know about his Reaper condition during its existence, there aren't a huge amount of choices left. Either Overwatch believed he was dead, like they did Amélie Lacroix, Anna didn't, for example, know that she was alive when she saw her as Widowmaker, or Overwatch would have had to have been involved in some way in his Reaper state. Now, of course, this opens the experimentation or amoral door, where Reyes' Reaper activities over decades were either sanctioned by Overwatch, perhaps as Blackwatch activity, or his form was known about, and Overwatch did nothing to stop it. That's pretty dark as a storyline. I'm not a fan of it at the moment personally theory-wise, and of course any theory at the moment, any factual evidence we have to support theories is very slim, but honestly we don't have proof for or against it right now. So like many things, it's headcanon, theory and speculation territory until proven otherwise. What do you think of this Reaper bio fact? Is it a good basis for speculation to assume that Reaper's been active for decades and before Overwatch's fall? Do let me know your theories and thoughts in the comments. Okay, on to some other news. Quick update for you folks who are big into competitive, start planning if you haven't already for the end of Season 3. Jeff Kaplan took to the forums a few days back to mention that seasons end 1 week before the start of the month when somebody asked, so we should probably expect the same here. But our blog is being repaired and I'm sure we'll hear some news soon, given that the PTR updated yesterday and Year of the Rooster has now been patched out. Remember of course that Tuesday is a typical Overwatch patch day. With Jeff's post, I'd expect perhaps that Season 3 will end next Tuesday, the 21st of February, or at some point early next week. That gives a week of off-season, and I think we could also see at the same time the introduction then of the PTR changes, including our buffed self-repairing Bastion, who flanks, could attack and defend. There may well be a Bastion replacing Soldier 76 in the meta incoming. You've been warned. Anyway, that week of off-season with the new Bastion changes for us to get used to could then perhaps lead to Season 4 being launched in early March. What do you reckon? What golden weapons will you be buying at the end of this season, if any? I've not done as much competitive this season as I'd like, so I don't think I've got quite enough for another weapon, but I'll have to see. Do let me know what you're going to be grabbing in the comments. Awesome news for you collectible fans, or just statue or cool stuff fans, a Nendoroid Tracer was announced just yesterday. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with Nendoroid as a company, they're a series of Japanese figures with chibi style, but they have interchangeable poses and accessories, so they're a little bit more than a plastic bobblehead, Funko, or statue, although God knows I love those too. This Nendoroid comes complete with a variety of optional parts for Tracer, including effect parts for her abilities. She's got interchangeable bent legs and hair that can cover her eyes in different ways, so you can recreate a lot of different poses from the game, including of course her victory pose here. Pulse pistols are included. She comes with open hands so that you can pose her as if she's just let go of her guns on a recall, throwing a pulse bomb using her ultimate, and she's fully articulated, which means that you can do a lot of cool posing on the stand that comes included. It also mentions that this is going to be the first of the Overwatch Nendoroids, which of course opens the door for even more in future. So for those of you who are fans of Overwatch stuff, this weighs in cost-wise at around $42, that's £34 for you folks in the UK, and remember of course international shipping and import taxes. The link will be in my pinned comment below if you want to check them out. Finally, some good Overwatch news for victims of hacking in Korea and indeed elsewhere. Blizzard took to the boards recently to reassure the community on several levels about this. Cheat detection and real-time monitoring are being improved, action is being taken against cheat program creators, and IGRs. Now, IGRs, for those of you who don't know the acronym, PC bangs, LAN centers, internet gaming rooms, generally a big thing in Korea. Some of these apparently provide VPN services that are used to spoof people's geographic location, and that's kind of useful when they're trying to hack. The big piece of news is that foreign Battle.net accounts without an Overwatch license can at the moment access the game in LAN centers. In Korea, this is a specific relationship that Blizzard have where they provide multiple game licenses to PC bangs or LAN centers so that people can come, they can pay to play, and they don't have to buy their own copy of the game. What would happen was that hackers in Korea, for example, would make USA or other foreign to Korea Battle.net accounts as a throwaway. If you're playing Overwatch in a Korean PC bang, creating a USA throwaway account meant that you could basically hack, and if it got banned, you could just create another one without any consequence to yourself. However, from 2 days' time on, Blizzard are going to be adjusting the Battle.net account policy so that only players with valid game licenses in their Battle.net home region can play Overwatch in Korea. So why is this a big deal for Overwatch players around the world in general? Well, for the future health of Overwatch, it's good for Overwatch to be healthy in Korea. Korea, of course, really kind of the birthplace or spiritual home of organised modern esports in many ways, and Blizzard of course has history with Korea back to the competitive StarCraft Brood War of the early 2000s, which of course was one of the big things that kicked off the rise of esports in general. I love lore and story, I'm an average player at best, but I know this is important if you love Overwatch in any general way. As Korea is a place that nurtures esports, we want it to be healthy there. It's good for the game's health and lifespan in general, not just for professional players or competitive ones. And to sign off on that topic, if you want to learn more about Overwatch play, I would check out some really cool different places to do it. Check out Reddit's /r Overwatch University subreddit. There's a great bunch of people there who are dedicated to improving their game regardless of your level. If you want to dip your toe into esports, two places. Check out /r/competitive Overwatch for more on the professional scene, and if you just want to try watching professional matches and the best of the best playing, Overwatch's subreddit has a weekly announcement pinned called This Week in Esports. You can always find event times in different time zones and details of streams to watch the best of the best duking it out there. Thanks for tuning in to this Overwatch news roundup and bit of lore speculation. I hope you've discovered some new things and enjoyed bits of the wider Overwatch community you might not run into, either on my channel or in your daily YouTube or news travels. This is a bit of a different video for me, lots of different things covered. Do click that thumbs up button and let me know what you think of this video format. Should I do more? Do let me also know what you think of all the news, good or bad, in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please do check out all of my regular Overwatch lore videos. You can click these playlists and videos here, whether you're on mobile or on a desktop or laptop. They all work now, and throw a sub if you'd like to see more. If you never want to miss a video, YouTube can be funny with notifications sometimes. Remember to visit my channel page and click the notification bell, and then choose any notifications you want to hear from before clicking save. That'll mean that you never miss out, and you can be informed in the ways that you like. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.